Hi everybody, and we're back live here at the GuideWell Insights Lounge. This is Kate Warnock coming to you from the floor of the 2017, my goodness, I was jumping ahead, 2017 AHIP Institute and Expo. I have a wonderful guest with us joining. It's Dave Biel. Dave, welcome.
Hello, how are you?
You're very well, thank you. So Dave, your title, you are the U.S. Leader for Health Plans Consulting at Deloitte.
That is correct.
Yes, and you just came off the stage. I'm so glad that you're joining us. You know, you have a very interesting I'm sure you had an interesting conversation. What is the payer's role and value proposition in this evolving healthcare environment? Let's throw that to you.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
So if we look out in the future, I think what we see is that payers who are largely been transaction processors to date, that world is evolving. That there's a lot of innovation, automation, robotic process automation. So much of the transaction processing world is really, we think, is going to become much more automated, much more modernized, much cheaper to deliver. Mm-hmm. Eventually, as innovation really takes hold, it'll move, we believe, at some point to the cloud. Will payment processing and benefit determination and most of the very manual-esque transactions that are done by these large systems will be done in the cloud and be done largely for free. So the payer's role is going to change a lot. The payer's going to become not just a payer anymore, but they'll become a partner with the consumer to help them navigate their health choices, connect and aggregate their connections to the ecosystem, and help them make the right health choices over time. So from transaction processor to aggregator and curator is really where we see it going over the next 10 years.
So it really sounds like there's an opportunity for the health plans to start truly having a relationship with their members. So instead of it just being transactional and kind of behind a wall, maybe now it's more personal.
Yeah, I think what we see is not just a relationship with their members, but actually tightening the relationships across the whole ecosystem.
Okay.
So the individuals, the members, and the families, they definitely, I think, are trying to get closer to them. They've been trying to do that for a period of time. But I think we see a lot more collaboration with the provider community, closer than just contracts and payments,
okay,
the way it used to be, and networks. But a more integrated, we see a lot of what we call vertical integration and virtual vertical integration, and payers and providers trying to work together a lot more closely, but also employers and other partners who are outside, have been traditionally outside the ecosystem, if you will. Payers are starting to really try to, I won't even call them payers, I'll call them health plans,
yeah,
are trying to embrace them a bit more closely to bring all of that to bear for the consumer.
Well, it sounds like the consumer is really going to win in this kind of new scenario that you're painting. Yeah, hopefully. Well, let's talk a little bit more. You were talking about some of the business trends. Let's talk the tech trends that you might be watching. What's going to be helping with this transformation?
So we're seeing there's so much. There's so much. There's been a really huge movement around what we call digital transformation within the core of the health plan. So if you look at the health plan's infrastructure traditionally and systems, they're large mainframe, big, heavy, monolithic technology systems that do all of this payment processing, right, claims processing, benefit determination, and all that stuff. And that's been the case for 40 or 50 years. And those systems are hard to maintain, costly to maintain, difficult to modify and make changes, and they create a lack of nimbleness in the marketplace.
Absolutely.
So one of the things that we're seeing a lot of is the desire, not just the desire, but now the action around modernizing those systems with new technology platforms, cloud-based computing, then adding in some real technology innovation like cognitive computing, machine learning, AI to help enhance some of the business process. And as we were talking about before the session started, people are afraid their jobs are going to go away and be taken away by the machine.
Right.
I do think that there's going to be some level of additional automation that will render some of the traditional processes, if you will, that have been manual, that will become just automated. Yeah. And I don't think that means jobs go away. I just think that means we can focus people's value on more our time on more valuable things.
You know, so Dave, I'm wondering, you know, in your role, you're, you know, head of the health plan practice for Deloitte. How is it that you advise these executives on what to watch? How do you help them prioritize where they should go next?
Yeah, well, I mean, we look at four main pillars within the health plan trends, if you will, that we don't really have to, the truth is we don't have to tell them what to look at that much because it's really obvious what's happening. We think there are four significant trends. There's a trend around affordability. It's one of the problems that we've still not solved despite all the legislation and proposed legislation. So value-based care, collaborations with providers and other ecosystem partners to drive down the cost of care, manage care, and be proactive about care management is a trend. And there are a lot of innovations around collaboration. There's a whole set of innovations around technology and digital transformation that we were talking about, and that goes beyond just modernizing the core. There's more to it than that, but analytics, digital, there's a whole set of trends, and we encourage our clients to look outside of the traditional players. So let's look at the tech giants like Apple, Google, Facebook, Optum, others who are doing very interesting things with technology and bringing that to bear that we think will change the game for the consumer and should be looked at from a health plan capability perspective. There's a whole set of things around government programs. There's going to be 30 million Medicare new enrollees over the next 10 years, and Medicaid is obviously looks like it's going to be changing potentially depending on how legislation plays out. So that's a huge market for all health plans. That's where many consumers are going to have to go because they're just aging in. And so there are a lot of trends around Medicare Advantage and Medicare Advantage capabilities, being able to deal with those and work with the cost of care. And then the last is just the digital consumer and making sure that you're staying up to date with how to connect best with the aging Medicare patients who are actually, those who are going to age in the next 10 years are going to be so much more connected than the Medicare members today. They're all in the workforce, they're all connected, they're all using their devices. Then you go to the other end of the spectrum and you've got the teenagers of today. So like my son, who's going to be you know, he's going to access the system, but he's going to expect to do it in a connected and ubiquitous way all the time. He's going to want to be able to talk to the answer, make it happen, and so I think that those capabilities for the consumer are going to be really important.
So it sounds to me, you know, with these four pillars that you speak to, that you probably are a proponent of dual transformation, and by that I mean we're in a business that has this legacy skill set and their core business, as you said. They need to do more than just modernize. They need to bring that up to as current a state as possible, yet need to continue to maybe innovate beyond their core capabilities. So as you said, look at the other industries and what they're doing. Is that something that you really, do you espouse that? You know, do you think that's the right approach for most health plans to take? I think it's the only approach for the leading health plan to take, honestly, because I think healthcare is going to go in that direction. I think you need to keep the business running and maintain your base and your core, so there's an aspect of doing that. But I do think that there's going to be innovation, significant innovation and disruption. It's hard to predict disruption, but if we were to be, to do a little speculation, I think we would say that there are going to be a significant set of new capabilities that are brought to the market by health plans who are partnering with new ecosystem players like the tech giants. And so I think the dual play is a necessary strategy in order to maintain relevancy in the future. But you're seeing that really through convergence, you know, so so that's interesting. Well, when you say convergence, what do you mean? Well, convergence in that, you know, so if I'm a health plan but I'm going to partner with maybe someone outside of the health industry to, you know, that might own that new capability, we're going to make it be, we're going to provide a health application. Absolutely. So I would say convergence on levels that we've never seen before, and I actually think that the fact that the mega mergers that, you know, have come to pass or didn't come to pass in the past 18 months to 2 years, I think that was a clear sign by the Department of Justice and the federal government that to scale,
and to continue to stay relevant as a health plan in the industry, you can't just sort of swallow each other up. You need to go out and find new and different ways to engage customers, consumers, and other ecosystem partners. So we've seen just a resurgence of partnership models between not just providers and payers, but payers and all kinds of players, tech companies and drug companies and you name it, retail stores. And so I think there's a clear sign that there needs to be a lot more collaboration to make this new model work and for the innovation to come forth.
Well, it's a really interesting time to be in healthcare.
It always is, but this is the best.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Dave, thank you for sharing your expertise with us here in the GuideWell Insights Lounge.
Thank you very much.
I'm happy to have you. This is Kate Warnock. We're signing off for just a moment. We're going to be up next with another interview. Please keep watching.
Thank you.